time for Rocket League Central, the most important show ever created.
That's true.
I'm Erica Mareki, and
true.
standing next to me is Mr. Rocket Scientist Brody Leafex-Moore.
Science. Let's do some experiments, but not right now. We'll do those later after we get a recap of the North American Grid Week #1 and the European Regional #1 that all happened last week in Grid Watch. And we got some sick plays in Hotshots and some memes in Breakout.
Before we get started, we have to warm up with a little bit of a question.
Okay.
What would you say is the most sought-after cosmetic item in Rocket League, and why?
At least I don't have to use my brain too much. This is an easy answer. Alpha Boost. Straight up Alpha Boost. A lot of players and pros say that if you're not using Alpha Boost, you're actually a worse player. It makes you better. The Alpha Boost was, as it said, it came out in the alpha when the game was still being tested before it was full release, right after Supersonic, Acrobatic, Rocket Fire, Battle Cars, and it goes for like $2 to $6 grand.
Well, now that your brain's all warmed up, let's head over to the highlights in Grid Watch.
The RLCS Season X Winter Split is in full swing, so let's take a look at the big winners and losers of the newly revamped teams and tournament format. Team BDS continued its domination, tearing through the European Regional. BDS is arguably in contention for the best team in all of Europe, if not the entire world. And it's hard to argue with the team's results, having taken first place in 4 of the last 5 regional events they've played in. BDS' opponent in the Grand Finals was none other than Renault Vitality, who have proven throughout 2020 that they can pull off huge wins even after parting ways with Scrubkilla at the start of the year. Though they did eventually lose 4-1, Vitality put up an impressive fight against BDS, forcing 2 games into close overtimes and scoring nice goals in every game of the set.
BDS will be unrelenting in this scenario. They do not want to have to play any longer off the backboard for the regional, and they will take it. BDS, the format might be different, the result is still the same, are your regional champions.
Speaking of Scrub, many were wondering how he'd perform in his first major under Team Singularity's banner. But unfortunately, it seems as though the team might have fallen prey to the new double elimination format. While Scrub and Singularity put in stellar showings against the likes of Team Liquid and Fadeaway, they had the misfortune of facing BDS early in the bracket. This led to a stumble against Top Bloke, sending them home early, before Singularity's new roster could assert itself as a major threat.
Singularity, there was, honestly, Super, what did they bring? Like, they bring the ball out 2 or 3 times like this, and then they just give it away. Again, they played really, really well in Game 1. And since then, they've given up 11 straight goals. 12 straight goals with no answer.
They played really good at the start of Game 1.
Meanwhile, in North America, the top 4 teams from last season, NRG, NV Space Station Gaming, and G2 Esports, took the top spots in Week 1 of the grid. The quartet each achieved top seed in their respective group stages, finally meeting in the semifinals of the playoffs, where G2 beat NV 4-1, while NRG clinched a tight set out over SSG 4-3.
The slow play, infield pass, Squishy will break it up. Justin with a huge win, and time melts away. This was a slugfest, back and forth, overtime thrillers, but ultimately NRG come out on top.
The finals came down to NRG versus G2, in which NRG scraped out a win with yet another extremely close 4-3 victory. A true seesaw match that even included a nearly 3-minute-long overtime. Their powerful plays demonstrated their excellent teamwork. A reminder that amidst several shocking roster shakeups, you don't need to fix what isn't broken.
Has that bouncing straight up, Squishy hit it, but Chicago was ready and waiting. Garrett missed his hit. Oh, shot from Rizzo. Rizzo denied. Justin will get it to the corner. Garrett, another clear downfield. That's it. That will be it. NRG are your grid champions.
Special kudos must also be given to Rogue, however. Despite a narrow loss to G2 in the quarterfinals, the team managed to put up a fierce fight against some of the best teams in the region.
I will never, ever bet against this team. Look at the pressure they're putting on. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the pressure Rogue have right now. They want it. They can smell the blood in the water. They can smell the Season 7 champion L's in the water. They can smell it. Turtle has big nostrils. He can smell it.
That's all for now, but be sure to check back next week when the grid continues and North America's regionals kick off.
So there's so much going on in Rocket League right now. Over in Europe, we just had our first winter regional event. There's a lot of familiar faces on top. However, were you surprised to see any, teams or players like Galaxy Racer or Endpoint 8 out of the top 8?
Not maybe a little bit. I mean, we all know that EU sucks right now. So like the only good teams are BDS and Renault Vitality. So not entirely surprised. Like it was a little off-putting. You're like, they should do better, but they had a really tough go at it. I think in the future, and there's a reason we have so many events, is these teams will bounce back, right? They have so many opportunities to keep themselves at the top and get more points. I do not expect to see those teams, Endpoint specifically, to stay at the bottom.
So there weren't very many surprises in the first week of the North American grid, but are there any teams or players to keep an eye on, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit biased here on this one,
biased.
but I have to be. I've been casting the grid Pittsburgh Knights matches, and they just brought Sosa on in place of Kinsey, and he is connecting so well with ZPS up on that offense. It is looking scary. Other teams are going to have to watch out for them.
So while we take all that in, let's head over to the Neon Rocket Cave for another one-on-one exclusive.
I'd like to welcome to the show esports caster and content creator, a Rocket League expert, but more importantly, my waifu. It's Adam Lawler Thornton. Man, it's been a while. How you doing?
A waifu, huh?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going? I know we both watched a bit of anime now, but a waifu, that's a pretty big step, man. Out of all of them, shoo.
Hey, man,
I'm honored.
And I have a lot out there. Like I'm watching, I said, a lot of anime, so you beat them all out. So that's a privilege.
I don't know if I should be excited or scared, but either way, thank you. Appreciate the warm welcome, man. It's been a bit.
Let's jump into this. I want to just kind of catch up for anybody that may not be following your content as closely. What you've been up to recently, man? You've been diving into content creation lately, and it's obviously been a new journey for you, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and what kind of routine for yourself. Walk me through just kind of like the steps, early on when you're jumping in content, the difficulties and stuff to get everything rolling.
Yeah, the beginning of 2020 obviously was starting off in a pretty good direction for myself personally. Obviously, for those that don't know, I was an RLCS commentator for 4 years and got the news at the beginning of this year that no longer would be a thing. So I luckily have always kind of taken care of myself, been independent, and built up a nest egg and stuff. So I wasn't like too strapped for like what I wanted to do. So I had some time to sit down and basically self-reflect on what do I want to do now that I have essentially no limitations, right? Like I don't have a company or a developer over my head saying these are the things that we need you or want you to do. You are 100% freelance in every sense of the word. So the two basic things is I wanted to do stuff that made me happy. Balancing not only that, but then focusing on what kind of content I want to make. So obviously I get along with some of the bigger content creators in Rocket League, like John Sandman and stuff, and did fun game modes and kind of that stuff, but it wasn't really my forte. I can't really do the over-the-top boisterous, which is crazy because John is so genuine in it. Like that's just who he is, but it wasn't really my style. So after, putting out videos and stuff like that and just it not really vibing, I kind of found my niche, which is, focusing on I guess the inside source for Rocket League. What stuff do people want to know, whether it be drama going down in the scene, whether it be about a new update that came out, any new content if there is any, not just cosmetics.
Let's talk about Rocket League, because obviously you're still involved. Like you still know Rocket League. You're still a Rocket League expert. We got to talk about what's basically been on the timeline recently. Is all the we're gonna have an into this. All the drama about EU versus North America. We have OC and Sam over there looking like, what about us guys? We're going to talk about EU and NA right now, and kind of the Reddles started it all. This is where it happened. Reddles on Twitter basically just said, I'm not sure why, everyone is saying that BDS is the best in the world, basically hinting at, what about us? Now, obviously in the world of COVID, we don't have LANs right now, so we can't test. Truly, you could try to do cross-region, tournaments, but there's ping involved. You don't have a true test of who is the better region at this point. How do you feel about kind of firing this rivalry across region here? Because I think it helps storylines, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree that, and this is a pretty bold statement, but like the Rocket League scene's been pretty soft for a really long time. Criticism, any of that kind of stuff, people just immediately get offended by it, and it's like if someone calls you bad, like you can either just use it as motivation, or you can get over it. You know, like I don't know why people always get their so-called panties in a bunch. I mean, I look back. I just did a video on this topic as well in like a full detailed form. So good questions from you, but yeah, I mean, I look back to when Classics did it with OCE for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they got burnt by it, but everybody, no matter who you were, whether you were a fan of Classics and Evil Geniuses or the Chiefs, or just not a fan at all, it didn't matter. Your eyes were glued to that match because there was so much more weight to it because of all the trash talk that went down. And I totally commend Reddles for this. Like, whether you like him or hate him, whether you think he's arrogant or otherwise, because of these statements, the guy usually backs it up. And even if he doesn't, so what? Like, I cannot wait for the first time we have a LAN event, not only because of all the storylines and a year-long system now that it's circuit-based and all the storylines coming in already, but now you've got a little bit more weight added to it because this person is saying, hey, our entire region in the top 4 is better than your very best that has been dominating this region. You've won 4 out of 5 regional events. That is absurd. That is Dignitas level world championship 3 in a row kind of quality.
Hey, man, I'd love to keep talking right now, but you got some content to go create. Thank you so much, Lawler. Miss you, man. Can't wait to see you again.
Hey, appreciate the love as always, Leaf. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Trying to set up Noxus. Noxus is there, and he goes behind Tristan.
And there we go, Northwood. Off of this touch from Pirates, look at the setup. That flick, and Noxus, the dodge there to get behind the ball. Tanya pops it up high. Reticence too far under it. Josh puts it in front. Yes, the goal! Nova hit light speed. We got a tie game.
How do you get the job done? Reticence is straining as hard as he can.
Reticence on the challenge. Nova need to clear. That ball did not bounce away. Buso thought it, he got burned! Tristan puts another in. Akron extend the lead.
Buso could tell he was going to be in trouble here as soon as he saw Tristan had him beat up the wall, so he just tried to size it up.
Stockton, their first chance in minutes, and it's looking to be quite scary. It's bouncing in for Gino. After all that defense for Stockton, it pays off.
Gino off the corner and in the big shot.
Right now, a bump on the goal line as well. Alpha has to reset, means Extra has time off the backboard, and you don't want to be giving him that.
Extra is so extra. Look at this. He goes in, double tap, sees Alpha, and he says, nah, I got this.
I feel that they're going to score. Alpha has denied them 3 times in a row. Fairy double, Fairy goal! Vitality take the lead!
Fairy Peak waiting on the side wall. It's such a fast hit to the backboard.
Off the ceiling, but Casio. No, that was all Samway. Archie's got to stretch. And he can't do it. Samway absolutely flicks everybody out. He takes down Top Blokes himself. Flame.
Oh, maybe here.
Long
Casio.
pass. Casio back to Flame. There it is. Top Bloke score after 7 grueling minutes of overtime. They take game 3.
They have been waiting for this counterattack. The monster clear from Flame.
Monkey Moon beats Fairy to the ball. Second touch, uncontested from Monkey Moon. Puts it away. First goal for BDS. How do you win the ball there from Monkey Moon?
More composed on defense, usually in those final moments where the ball's about to go over. You panic, and speaking of panic, you get done dirty from your boy Atomic with the mind game.
Behind the ball, but it's still Oxygen chance and Extra. Can't find the clear against Astral. Demo might give him a little bit of space against Monkey Moon. Astral does it himself. That's a tie game.
And this is how you support Astral. You know, a lot of people have mentioned it. How do these guys even function?
Does continue up on his club hit. Exo, one hit on target! And that is a worldie from the Englishman.
Oh, just look at that from Ixo's perspective, from the ceiling as well.
We really should make that section like twice as long because I could just sit here and watch sick plays all day long, but we have to break it up with some memes and sick content that the community, like you guys, have been making. Let's take a look at our first one by a Shelmer who took all the sounds in Rocket League and made a song out of it.
Actually really impressive.
Dude,
it takes a lot of work.
It's crazy. Like at first, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be real, Shelmer. I thought it was gonna probably be trash when I first saw it, but no, that turned out really good. And Sonics, I want to see that in the game, please. Like it fits so well with the soundtrack of Rocket League.
It's perfect.
Just please get in the game. That would be so sick.
Next up, Paradox Pictures on YouTube created a Lego Rocket League.
Right, that was cool and all, but at the same time, I'm not sure why they picked Sunless Khan to, like, I'd like to see him try to do that on purpose, let alone against Kronovi.
Rip that mobile.
Just F in the chat, boys.
We've got one more. What Intarnation changed their name so they wouldn't get flamed to I suck now, but I used to be a season 13 grand champion.
I've seen a few of these real talk. That's the way it is. The second you put on a tag, any kind of tag, I've got my analyst tag, I've got my grand champ tag, you put it on, and if you're not performing at peak, people just rip into you. Even though they're at the same rank as you, they just rip into you. I don't get it. I need to take cues from him because I want to wear that tag, but people won't leave me alone. I know I suck.
Everyone wants to beat a winner.
I know, but I know I suck. Stop reminding me. Okay, I get it.
Well, moving on, we're gonna move on from our little back and forth to a back and forth with some higher stakes. We're gonna look at the careers of the intertwined careers, I should say, of Turbo Pulsa and K-Drop in Double Tap.
The ever-shifting nature of esports teams can lead to a grand array of shifting allegiances. Today's bitter rivals can be tomorrow's treasured teammates, and all-star dream teams can be broken up at a moment's notice. This is the story of Rocket League champions Turbo Pulsa and K-Dop, two top-level players linked by fate who have gone from enemies to allies and back again. It all started back in 2017 at the RLCS Season 3 World Championship. Turbo Pulsa had been subbed in on Northern Gaming, as teammate Maestro wasn't able to attend. After a rough start, the team battled their way to Grand Finals, where they were faced with Mocket Esports, K-Dop's team, and the winner of the European Regionals. What ensued was an epic back-and-forth duel, both teams coming close to clinching the title before Northern Gaming finally triumphed after a bracket reset.
Cannot make contact. Renko to shut it down. Will it touch? Fairy Peak carries it high. One goal can still tie the game, but Devo will let it touch. And Northern Gaming has done it when they could not for the last 2 seasons. The world champion here in Los Angeles.
It was Turbo's first championship win, but it wouldn't be his last. And in fact, an unlikely ally would aid him along his path to glory. As the sun set on another season, teams went through the requisite roster shakeups in search of a winning lineup. What no one could have expected, however, was the rebirth of Gale Force Esports, who decided to rebuild their team around former Mocket player Violent Panda. Joining him was K-Dop, who also jumped ship from Mocket, and newly crowned champion Turbo Pulsa. This veritable dream team went on a tear, winning Season 4's Grand Finals in a 4-0 shutout against Method.
But it was blocked yet again by Turbo Pulsa, the midfield currently belonging to Gale Force Esports, and every single reward that reaps. Now 2 players caught by the side. Metronome can't get there. K-Dop wins.
Turbo Pulsa, the world's best substitute last season, and one of the world's best starters.
roster getting acquired by Dignitas didn't slow their momentum one bit. Under their new banner, the trio took Season 5's World Championships as well, in an unprecedented title defense.
Next goal is the RLCS World Championship. Turbo Pulse with it up high, gets the flick, Turbo!
It was Turbo's third straight win, and by this point his momentum seemed unstoppable. After all, no one outside of his team had even won 2 championships. But nothing lasts forever, and eventually the clock had to strike midnight on this Cinderella story. Dignitas cruised to the Season 6 Grand Finals with little resistance, with only Cloud9 standing between them and a World Championship hat-trick. To everyone's shock, C9, who had clawed their way to Grands from loser's side, absolutely trounced the legendary trio, who despite their record struggled to win just 2 of the 10 games in the match. Season 7 saw K-Dop leave Dignitas for Vitality, a winning move as Vitality went on to earn K-Dop his 3rd championship title while his former squad mates at Dignitas failed to even qualify for the finals. This spurred Turbo to set out on his own as well, and come Season 8, the two were once again facing off in the Grand Finals of the World Championships, with Turbo representing NRG. In an eerie echo of their first ever encounter, Turbo ended up triumphing over K-Dop once again, securing a ridiculous 4th championship win and sending his old friend home in 2nd place.
Play to this corner, very peak, he's got past 2 players, looks for a bump, Garrett G clears line. Justin!
NRG do what they could not do before!
Whether they play as rivals or as teammates, it seems as though Turbo Pulse and K-Dop share a common destiny, one that forever links these impressive players to the world of Rocket League.
Brody, how hard is it? How hard is it to look at the careers of Turbo Pulse and K-Dop and sort of differentiate them and separate them?
Well, not too hard anymore. In all honesty, like the Rocket League history's gone, well, it feels like it's gone back forever because we used to have 2 seasons in a year, right? Now it's only 1. So every season in my mind was a year. So it feels like it's been so long since they teamed together that they have their own history and past that I can separate them pretty easily now. In all honesty, it'd be even weirder if they teamed up again, in my mind.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for today. Catch us on YouTube or Twitter at WatchRLC.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and to sign you guys out, here is your weekly Backfire.
Bum ba bim bum ba bim bim bum bum ba bim bum bum ba bim bum ba bim bim bum bum.